You're not just lying to others, you're lying to yourself. We all wear masks. That's not new. But what Jung saw, what most people miss, is that the mask isn't just for others, it's for us. We don't just deceive the world, we deceive ourselves. And we do it so well, so consistently, that the lie becomes identity. Think of it like a stage play. You're the actor, the director, and the audience. You write the script, perform the role, and applaud yourself for how convincing it is. I'm fine. I'm not angry. I'm just being honest. These aren't truths. They're rehearsed lines. And the longer we repeat them, the harder it becomes to tell where the performance ends and the person begins. Jung called this the persona, a mask we wear to survive. But behind it lives the shadow, the parts we reject, repress, or refuse to see. And if you want to understand yourself, you have to stop watching the performance and start listening to the silence backstage. The persona, the mask that smiles. The persona isn't fake, it's functional. It helps you navigate society, avoid rejection, and play the roles expected of you. But it's also a filter. It hides what doesn't fit, what's too raw, too strange, too vulnerable. Think of the persona like a storefront. The signs say confident, kind, funny, but behind the curtain is a warehouse full of contradictions. You smile when you're hurting. You agree when you're angry. You perform strength when you feel weak. And over time, the storefront becomes the self. But here's the danger. The more polished the persona, the more invisible the shadow. And the more invisible the shadow, the more power it has. The shadow, the parts you refuse to see. The shadow isn't evil. It's honest. It holds your anger, envy, insecurity, and desire. Not because you're broken, but because you're human. Jung believed that the shadow is everything you won't admit to yourself. Not because it's wrong, but because it's uncomfortable. Think of the shadow like a basement. You throw things down there, memories, impulses, truths, and lock the door. But the basement doesn't stay quiet. It leaks. It shows up in your dreams, your reactions, your relationships. You snap at someone and don't know why. You sabotage success and call it bad luck. You chase people who hurt you and call it love. The shadow doesn't disappear. It disguises itself. And if you don't face it, it will run your life from the dark. The lies we tell ourselves. We lie to ourselves in ways that feel noble. I'm just trying to help. I don't care what people think. I'm over it. These aren't confessions. They're defenses. They protect the persona and keep the shadow hidden. Here are the most common self-lies. I'm fine. Translation, I'm afraid to be seen as weak. I'm not angry. Translation, I don't feel safe expressing my rage. I'm just being honest. Translation, I'm using truth to avoid empathy. I don't care. Translation, I care deeply, but I'm afraid of disappointment. I'm over it. Translation, I've buried it so deep, I can't feel it anymore. These lies aren't malicious. They're protective. But protection, without awareness, becomes a prison. Why we lie. Survival, not deception. We don't lie to deceive. We lie to survive. The child who is punished for expressing anger learns to smile through pain. The teen who was mocked for being sensitive learns to act detached. The adult who was betrayed learns to say, I'm fine, even when they're breaking. These lies become scripts, and the more we rehearse them, the more they feel like truth. But they're not truth. They're trauma responses, dressed as personality. Jung believed that healing begins when we stop performing and start integrating. When we stop asking, how do I look? and start asking, what am I hiding? How to spot your own scripts. You can't heal what you won't name. So here's how to spot the lies. Watch your reactions. What makes you flinch, overreact, or shut down? Listen to your language. What phrases do you repeat when you're uncomfortable? Notice your patterns. What roles do you play in relationships? Rescuer, victim, hero. Track your avoidance. What topics, emotions, or memories do you dodge? These aren't flaws, they're clues. And every clue points to a part of you that's asking to be seen. How to begin shadow work. Shadow work isn't about fixing yourself, it's about facing yourself. Here's how to start. Write without filters. Let the shadow speak. Don't edit. Don't justify. Ask uncomfortable questions. What am I pretending not to feel? What part of me do I judge? Notice projections. What traits in others trigger you? That's your shadow in disguise. Practice radical honesty. Not with others, first with yourself. Create safe space. You can't face the shadow in a war zone. You need quiet, compassion, and time. Shadow work isn't a one-time event. It's a lifelong conversation. And every time you listen, the mask loosens. The gift of integration. When you stop lying to yourself, something strange happens. You don't become perfect. You become whole. The anger you suppressed becomes fuel. The insecurity you hid becomes empathy. The shame you buried becomes wisdom. Jung believed that integration is the goal. Not purity, not perfection, but wholeness. To be both light and dark. To be both confident and afraid. To be both kind and angry. That's not contradiction. That's humanity. And once you stop performing, you start living. You can't heal what you won't name. You've spent years rehearsing the lie. Now, it's time to meet the truth. Not the truth others want. Not the truth that keeps you safe. The truth that sets you free. You're not just the mask. You're the person underneath. And the moment you stop lying to yourself, the healing begins. If this hit home, share it. Send it to someone who's still performing but ready to be seen. And if you want more truths that cut through the noise, subscribe. Because the mask isn't the problem. It's forgetting there's a person underneath.